So today is called Creating a Math Mind, and we're going to have some interaction, some worksheets, some time for self-reflection, some sharing, and have about an hour to do so. So I wanted to start off with talking about creating a math mind, and this is a positive focus of a workshop versus looking at challenges. We're going to look at how we think, and we're also going to look at strengths. A couple definitions to start off with, talking about math anxiety. Math anxiety is an intense frustration or overwhelming feeling of anxiety which impedes a student from being able to perform or do well in math. And being tutors and a student yourself, you may have experienced that on your own, or you may experience it with other students that you work with. Do you guys have that example? Yeah? Can you give me a couple examples?
Lack of sleep. You can't sleep because whatever that is happens. Yeah.
Would you say that's around math work or your course or your test?
It happens in different things, but I noticed before the math test it happens a few days before.
Okay.
And certain things just contribute to like
Sure.
certain days and things happen.
Okay. Are there other signs or symptoms that you're seeing from students relating to having a fear of math or math anxiety?
I see students in here kind of like wired up, almost shaky to a point
Mm-hmm.
where like they're rushing when there's no reason to really be hurrying at the moment, and they're kind of like writing numbers. They say a number, write a different number, those kind of things.
Okay.
Where I can tell they're anxious, but I don't know what other than tell them to slow down.
Right, so almost like being in a fearful situation, and I use the metaphor or the example of if a tiger were to walk through that door right now, how would we all feel? I'd be pretty scared. I'd want to get out of here, but we're trapped, right? And sometimes that's how math anxiety can feel for students. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first part of the handout here. So the first question, we want to take a look at your situation. So for those of you that are tutors, you can use the math example. You can think of a student you have in mind. You can use a different example in your life if you're trying to overcome any anxiety in something else. But describe your first negative experience with math. And the reason we talk about this is because it could go far back into childhood, or it could be more recent. But we want to find out what the past is and what the history is so we can then get to your thinking. So take a few minutes and write about your first negative experience with math. We want to also take a look at the positive aspect of what we've done in our life and how we think. So I want you to think about something that you're good at. This could be writing, sports, music, arts, cooking, anything that you feel you are good at. And in question number 2, write down what that it is. Explore why you think you are good at this. What are your thoughts or attitudes and feelings and beliefs about this? What behaviors do you choose to create success in this area? Okay, would anybody be willing to share their example?
Of what we're good at, or what our
Yes.
first negative experience?
Sorry about that. Yes, of what you're good at.
So for this example, go ahead, Drew.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for this example, I kind of took on the role of my mom, since she has the really bad math anxiety, and what she's good at.
Okay.
She's excellent at cooking, and I think how she always approaches it. She's really excited and open-minded. She's not afraid to make changes if necessary. She's confident in her abilities in this area, and other people are always excited to let her know. What do I want to say? Other people are always acknowledging and appreciating what she's doing and letting her know.
So she's getting the positive feedback. Okay. Okay, so important is being open-minded, okay, willing to try new things, feeling excited about cooking, getting the positive feedback, and this can all result in her confidence. Okay, thank you. Would you like to share?
I enjoy rock climbing and I'm
Okay.
fairly decent at it.
Okay.
By practice, and that's how I do it. I just climb for years and years and years, and just keeps you good at something. Except for the weight now, things make it a little harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your attitude or your thoughts about rock climbing? What do you think about
I think
it?
it's good for the body, the mind, your soul, everything. Yeah, it's a pretty good thing to do. Really occupies your time. That brings your like body mind connection. The engrams you get, like you can actually memorize stuff from movement and things. It's really pretty radical.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Would one other person like to share? Something you're good at?
Very well, I think so.
Okay, thank you.
I said teaching.
Okay.
Of course, all of these guys are as well, so not just me. But and I said I think I'm good at it because it's so important and it's vital to society. It's not something that it's just ambiguous. There's an actual good purpose for it. And then I said, I've experienced many sides to it, so not just like being the teacher, but also being the student. So because I've explored all the sides, you can kind of feel or have that empathy. And then I'm not afraid to tweak what's not working and prepare and prepare and prepare.
Okay, thank you. So this is really big here, thinking that is important and vital to society. Okay, that thought leads to the behaviors. One here, that you're not afraid to try other things. Okay, and so what we're pointing out in this experience is we take a look at something we feel positive about and we feel good about ourselves, and we notice how the thoughts and the behaviors are in line with that. Okay, practicing for years, okay, that behavior is influenced by this connection, okay, this thought that it's good for you. So now we're going to take a look at math, and in question number 3, start to identify. So you already know you've created a cooking mind or a rock climbing mind or a teaching mind. So now we're going to work on identifying a few more aspects of our math mind and creating one that is a little more positive. So in number 3, think about math again. Describe your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors about math. What is the conversation in your head? Okay, who's willing to share an example of thoughts, feelings, or behaviors around math? Whether it's your own personal example or a student's example, and you don't have to tell us which.
Frustrating.
Okay. Okay, so that'd be one of your thoughts? Math is hard?
But, yeah, hard things aren't always bad, it's just like,
Right,
you keep going down.
right. It's still a frame of reference. Okay.
One thing that I hear people say is like, I don't have that type of mind or something for math. Like there's a specific type of mind you have to be good at math.
Okay.
Um,
Right, I've heard people say, I'm not a numbers person, I'm just not a math person. What else? What kind of behaviors? Okay.
They rush it too, right? 'Cause they just want to be done. So they just rush through it.
Sometimes the practicing can lead to frustration.
Okay.
When, so if they're trying to practice these problems and they're just still not getting it, it's just building and building and building.
I feel like sometimes though, like if someone believes that they're bad at math, they don't think that practicing is going to make it better. It really might though.
Right, so that belief of I'm bad at math overpowers doing some kind of a behavior like practicing. Because why would you want to try if you don't think you're going to do well? That's what some students think. Thank you.
What I hear a lot is why. Like, when am I ever going to use this? Why? I don't even care.
Yeah, and that's part of what we're doing here when we're going to, we'll talk about changing our thoughts to help change our feelings and behaviors and giving that why.
Another feeling I thought of is being embarrassed.
Okay?
Sometimes people will apologize to me for their math
They
skills.
do.
Yeah, they
They
do.
apologize a lot for their math skills. That's a behavior, right?
I guess that's a behavior.
Yeah.
But because of the embarrassment, that's why they do it.
Yeah.
I get a lot of apologies too.
I think I've apologized for it before.
Have you?
Yeah, so-
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Now that you
Yeah.
said it, you're like, wait, I've done that.
Yes.
I wonder why that is. Do you think it's because you don't know as much as the person you're asking, or where would that apology come into play?
I don't know. I think it's just something people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if everybody walked in and did a problem perfectly for us, we'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
It's
true.
actually good. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so hard, yeah.
I think part of it too is people know that there's someone here helping them, and if I'm taking up their time,
That's probably it,
yeah,
too.
I want to make sure it's useful. Yeah.
Especially maybe if it's something that seems easy, that you think is easy, but it's like you're having a hard time with it, and it's like, you feel like you're
I can
holding up
see
their
that.
time. Yeah. Because a lot of stuff that I get stuck on like stuff that I think is easy actually. I'm like, I don't get it at all. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. Excuse my language.
That's okay. Okay. Any other thoughts, feelings, or behaviors? We didn't touch too much on what's that conversation that's going on in someone's head. So when you're doing math, whether it's homework or at home or here in the tutoring center or during a test, what are people telling themselves in their head?
I'm always telling myself, chill out, like kind of like trying to calm
Okay.
myself a little bit. And that actually works out pretty good if I do that. Like at the test moment, it's just before the test, like at night, usually before I go to sleep,
Okay.
I'll lay there and toss and turn.
Okay.
Then I wake up tired and can't function. Then I go into the test and son of a bitch. Calm down, yeah.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. Okay. So that is what question 4 is about. Make a list of all the negative thoughts you or someone you know may have about math. Chilling out is a good one. That's a positive one. So that's good that that's already in your math mind. But some students will think, we touched on a few of them, I don't have that mind, I'm not good at it, I can't do it, this is stupid.
I just think if you do anything long enough, you'll get good at it, or at least decent at it.
Mm-hmm.
Passable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to keep going with the thoughts, I want to talk about three things that the researchers have found that can impact math ability. And the first one are your thoughts, which may result from a negative experience, which could even be a traumatic experience. And so that's why we have you take a look in the very first question, what was your first negative experience with math? And then we start taking a look at all these thoughts and feelings and behaviors, because what we found is if that negative experience persists over life, it's ingrained in you, and those feelings and thoughts that go with it can be impacting you now. We call that experience an activating event. This could be something from 4th grade when you had to do a problem on the board and somebody laughed at you. Or maybe you got it wrong. Or maybe you didn't get a good grade one year and your parents grounded you and that stuck with you. I mean, these experiences can range from least traumatic to very traumatic. Maybe you actually had someone bullying you over who was in your math class. Maybe it had nothing to do with how well you did in math, but maybe it was that person in the class that was hurting you. And so that activating event leads to a belief. And so we've talked about some of those beliefs. Just in question 4, you wrote down what some of those negative thoughts or those negative beliefs are, which then results in a consequence or a feeling. So if the activating event is fail math, and let's say the belief is I am no good at math, then what do you guess their consequence or their feeling will be?
Not good, whatever it is, yeah.
Right, not good. So do you think they will feel sad, angry, stupid, depressed, all of them? Let's just go with sad. So what we want to work on doing is, it helps to recognize the activating event so you know where it came from, but really what we want to focus on here is this belief. So even though a person fails a math class, is there a belief that they can change, even in some small way? So instead of I am no good at math, we could probably use what you have over here. If you do it long enough, you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Encouraged. Okay? So there's that slight shift, which then also leads towards hope. Okay, so the goal is to take a look at all these beliefs here, and in changing that belief, it starts to change the the consequence, which then will start to change your behaviors. If you're feeling encouraged, maybe you'll keep your tutoring appointments and keep coming back. Maybe you'll actually do more practice at home. Maybe you'll form a study group. So go ahead on your worksheet, pick one of your thoughts you listed in number 4, and on the page there, write the ABCs. What was the activating event? List your belief and the consequence, and then write a new version of that.
I have no clue what the activating event was.
Nope. Okay. That's okay. But you can identify your beliefs, your current beliefs. So.
Oh, I believe it could be done. I just think you have to just keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit in a minute about how to reduce that anxiety, because it sounds like you have several, positive thoughts that are keeping you going. But then what do you do when that anxiety comes up?
I have bad math days. That's what happens to me.
A bad math face?
Days.
Oh, days.
I have good math days and bad math days. It's like every day I don't know how it's going to be. So then if I'm having a good one, I'm happy. If I'm not, it's like kind of like frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the day.
Yeah,
Every
I
day
mean,
changes, yeah.
and that's true in life, right? We have
Yeah.
good and bad days, and if you take a look, at our good things, I like to cook. There's definitely some good cooking days and some bad cooking days where you're like, ooh, let's not eat that. But it's about how do you get back to this spot. A belief, and then how you change that.
Oh, you had to change it?
Mm-hmm.
You can't still hold an erroneous belief. Well, I used a different class than math, this is my example. But I was thinking about it and I realized that I thought I was bad at the subject physics because I failed my first quiz in the class. And it was also my first college semester. And so after that, I thought that I was really bad at physics. And I tried to avoid taking it.
Okay. Yeah, see how that thought led to those behaviors, avoidance?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I put it off as long as I could.
So did you ever change that throughout college? You said you put it off.
I did. I took a second class and I did a lot better in it. And I realized that the reason I'd done badly in the first one is because I didn't have enough of a math background.
Okay. So you shifted from, if I learn more, I will do better. Or since I've learned more, since I've taken other classes,
Yeah.
I can do this.
Mhm.
Okay. Great. Anyone else?
So my event was I failed a math test terribly, and I don't mean like a little bit, I mean like a lot. And it was enough that it actually made me cry, which is bizarre. I mean, I'm emotional anyway, but normally with math I'm like whatever. But totally made me cry. And then after that I was my belief turned to be, why am I even going into teaching? Nobody can learn from me. Honestly, I can't even do math, so why am I going to ever teach math? Blah, blah, blah. And then from then on, for a long time, it's been with this last semester, my tests have been terrible. My tests are never what I know. They're not representative of what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but this last class, I took it with like 5 of the people that work here, which was super cool because I just had this built-in support anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the group that I ended up studying with a lot, because we all had the like mind of being math teachers, we kind of understood how to explain it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helped click, and as a result, my final was amazing, and my class, my back grade was amazing, and that belief got reinstilled again that, you can do this, and you just have to surround yourself with the people that know that you can, and it'll help.
Great. So you brought in another piece of that was the support system to help build your confidence back up and to get you from the I can't do this, why am I going into this field to yeah, I can do this and I am good at this.
Yeah.
Great. Anyone else? No?
My activating event was thinking it, the math, there's no application. And then no application made me feel it's not important.
Right.
It's not important to stop doing it.
Okay. I see that a lot.
Until I seen like a bigger picture, I guess. My teacher eventually showed me, okay, this does have a use. And then when it had a use, I figured my belief was now I gotta conquer this new thing.
Okay. I got to conquer it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that switched my mindset to not
Okay.
give up.
Okay.
Now I gotta win the battle.
And conquer math.
Yes.
Okay.
He does well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, at the very bottom here, list any positive thoughts, whether it's the ones you changed from your negative thoughts, or just any positive affirmations or thoughts that you can think of relating to creating this math mind. We've heard, I can do it, I'm good at this, I can conquer it. What else would you add?
I think the freedom that it's okay to make mistakes.
Okay.
And that's not something that we allow ourselves to make. It's okay to make mistakes.
That actually might be what I'm best at.
Knowing that it's okay to make mistakes
No,
or
just
making the
making
mistakes.
yeah. I think that's what I specialize in.
Yeah, that's great, saying that it's okay to make mistakes because you're not beating yourself up over it, which is oftentimes what students do when they make mistakes or don't pass or fail, and then that hurts us in here, and it takes us a while to recover from that. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. What else is in your math mind?
Along the same lines, it's okay to ask somebody. It's okay to ask.
What does Michelle always say? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help. I think a lot of times people are kind of like they're timid on asking questions because they don't want to feel stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Along with those.
Right, so we've got to normalize some of this. Okay.
Another one is kind of to take things one step at a time. I notice a lot of times that frustration comes from looking at it as one giant thing and not breaking it into more manageable tasks that you know how to do on their own.
Like the 12-step thing. Yeah. Isn't that one of the things? Something like that.
One day at a time?
Yeah, or that's it. Yeah. One step at a time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably add like practice makes perfect. You have to practice. Yeah. It's just like any other skill.
Yeah, I can learn this skill. Which is interesting because when we talked about the things we're good at, this was probably an automatic thought that we didn't even have to think about it. It was already in us. I can learn to cook. I can learn to rock climb.
It's very rewarding,
Right?
not physically, but mentally when you get something right you've been working on it.
Those aha moments are amazing,
I
right?
think that's the biggest thing.
Right.
The light bulb moments. Yeah. Like we were just talking about.
Okay, so just like practicing math will improve and make progress, you have to practice your statements. Because to go from, this is hard, I don't care, why should I do it, to these statements takes some practice and daily practice. So now that you have your math mind and your positive affirmations, put these on your mirror, on your notebook, in your room, where you study, and read these to yourself every day, 3 times a day, until they become so ingrained that you don't think about them. And then that's a part of who you are, and that's a part of who you are doing math. And you can help your students revise their statements and their thoughts. So when you catch them saying some of the things over here, say, I wonder what it would be like if you said, let's just take it one step at a time. And it's about those tiny, tiny shifts. So that's the first part, is focusing on our thoughts and those experiences that we've had. The second part of creating a math mind or overcoming math anxiety is the practice. And so it's a matter of effort. How much effort are you putting in, and what kind? As you know, is it practice quizzes? Is it working with groups? Is it reading the textbook? Is it doing all of that again and again? And I ask my students, okay, be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. You failed math again. How much percent out of 100% effort did you put into that class? And a lot of times they'll say, about 70. I said, okay, well, if that relates to a grade, that would be a what? A C. Okay, and so again, it's that tiny shift, that light bulb, and getting them to realize, maybe I'm not dumb. Maybe it's just because I need to do it more. Maybe I need to do it a different way. That could be another piece of it. And then there are students who truly are like, no, I am doing 100%. What's going on? I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. And it might just be in the testing area. And that could be test anxiety. The third reason, it could also be if there's a potential learning disability. And that would change the how you do something. Okay? You can still have the positive thoughts. But imagine someone who has had a learning disability their whole life but didn't know about it. And then finally shift from the I can't do this to the, if I try it this way or this way or this way, I now understand it and feel better about myself. Do you guys have any questions or comments? No? I put several resources in your handout about test-taking tips and reducing test anxiety. I don't want to go over those since you can take those home and read them with you. But the last piece I want to close on is, you can call it reducing anxiety or stress reduction. But what do you do when you're in that situation, whether it be a math test or it be a physics test or it be a driver's test, or maybe it's speaking to someone brand new, okay? So let's go around the room and just give me one technique that you use to reduce anxiety or stress.
I try to take my mind off of whatever part's causing the stress
Okay?
and focus on something differently.
Along those lines, before a test, I do all my studying in the days before a test. I'll start like a week ahead of time sometimes. But the day of the test, I don't study for it at all. I just make sure I got enough sleep, and then
You said not the day of?
the day of, I don't study.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
if you do practice problems and you get them wrong the day of, then
Yeah, you're starting to get all that anxiety. So you make sure you're prepared. Okay, and that's such a huge one. When we talk about preparing all semester long, that way you're not doing it the night before. Okay, what other tips do you guys have to help reduce your stress or anxiety in any situation?
This one might sound dumb, but I literally say I don't care. Because when I give myself the permission not to care so much, I actually relax.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, don't let the outcome affect your overall happiness.
Okay, and that's a good way to reframe it, because sometimes we can get confused with the I don't care, but I see what you're saying. Giving yourself permission not to care as much. And that's like when I talked about the tiger coming in the door. That's what some students view math like, or view the test. But if you're like, that's a baby kitten. I can sit next to a baby kitten for an hour. Okay, so the permission not to care as much, or not to give it such a big emphasis. Okay, anything else?
Breathe.
Yeah,
Deep.
that's a big one, right?
Yes.
Breathe, just breathe.
Snap
Breathe.
some Snickers in your mouth.
Eat candy.
That's what I do.
Chocolate. I eat candy.
I do that every time.
Okay, and you said sleep, right? You rest. Yeah.
That doesn't happen for me, so I just live without it.
Sleep's the most
You got to pick the other ones.
Yeah.
You're like, my college life, no.
Yeah, that's not there.
Right.
Ambien. The key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the quick way
Although
to sleep.
I read a study somewhere, I don't know how accurate it was, but it was an interesting read, but it said that the frame of mind that you're in when you study should be the frame of mind that you're in when you take the test. So if you're constantly studying when you're tired, it's actually better for you to take the test when you're tired, because somehow it triggers it in your head. I don't know how true that is. My friend, of course, took it beyond and said, well, if I study when I'm drunk, do I get to show up drunk? But probably not.
That's what
Not really advised. No.
I don't know how much truth that is. I just thought it was an interesting read.
Yeah, I've read things similar to that too. But yeah. Another piece would be relaxation. So there are a lot of things you can do for relaxation techniques. The breathing, any kind of meditating, yoga, some kinds of exercises. A simple one that comes to mind is just if you tighten up your fists really hard and then release them, tighten them and release them. As soon as you do that, you feel that instant and your body just starts to relax, and then you can go back to that focus part and be able to answer the questions. Okay. Have you guys ever heard of a technique called heart math? Okay. I thought some of you may have. Heart math is actually a breathing technique. It doesn't have anything to do with math, and the researchers have found that our brain and our heart communicate with each other, and when they're communicating clearly and in a coherent state, our mind is able to focus and retrieve information and perform. And so I'd like to share this technique with you. We've used it with students in math and students in the nursing program, and it has helped them with test grades and course grades. So it's the very last page of your handout. And I'll go ahead and walk you through it and read it, so you don't have to follow along with your eyes, just follow along with your ears. If you'd like to close your eyes, feel free to. If not, just focus on somewhere you'd like to look. And start with a heart focus. Focus your attention on your heart. You can put your hand on your heart. You can think of a picture of a heart. Just focus your attention on your heart. If your mind wanders, that's normal. Just bring it back to your heart. As you focus on your heart, breathe normally, but imagine as if your breath is coming in and out of your heart instead of your lungs. Focusing on your heart, breathing from your heart. Create a feeling of relaxation or calmness. Maybe think of your favorite place, or person, or pet, and feel in your heart, calm, relaxed. Focus on your heart. Breathe from your heart. and feel from your heart. Okay, when you're ready, join us. How do you feel?
At peace.
At peace. Good.
Nice, pleasant feeling.
Good. That's nice. Okay, so that's one more to add to your tool belt here of strategies to help you. That can be used not only with with math and with tests, also if you're having a hard time sleeping, maybe if you don't like to fly in airplanes, any situation in which you're trying to overcome anxiety.